Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is the 21st of July, 2025, and as always, holding the media's feet to the fire because they manipulate, they propagandize, they gaslight, they lie. Once you lose trust, you don't get it back, folks. Hey, guys.
You won't be trusted anymore.
All right, here we go. Another week of broadcasting madness with the WTF reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist. And, as always, our broadcast is held together and supported by the Wave Watch, one of a couple of advertisers, supporters here. And if you haven't checked out the Wave Watch, you got to do it. If you didn't get one last week, you missed out on an extra discount. But you still get $100 off if you use the promo code RedPill100. Go to our website, find out about the Wave Watch and why this thing is so interesting and why folks like Kevin Artis are using it. Carrie Madej is using it. Why are these people using this Wave Watch? Well, because it has to do with frequency. That's what Tesla told us. Frequency is everything. And Royal Raymond Rife figured out how to use these frequencies to make cells proliferate and thrive. He also found out how frequencies could decimate and destroy viruses and bacteria. It's a good thing. You got to check it out. Check out the Wave Watch. Anyway, that said, oh, man, I'll tell you. Well, before we get started, I have this little picture, in my mind. When I was a kid and when you were a kid, we loved our superheroes. They got the movie Superman is out there right now. They keep on coming out, with the Fantastic Four and all these movies about superheroes. Okay, now we all know that that's all make pretend. Superman had his arch enemy Lex Luthor, and Batman had the Penguin, and he had the Riddler, and he had the Joker, and Spider-Man. He has Doc Ock, and he's got the Goblin, and he's got all these super villains. Of course, it's all make pretend, right? And there are no such things as super villains. Well, yes, there are. They are madmen, and there's not just one or two or a couple dozen. There's an entire legion of madmen who have taken over taken over the world. I'm not kidding you, folks. I mean, look at Klaus Schwab. I mean, he is the epitome of the crazy, maniacal, guy that wants to take over the world. Take your little pinky and put it on the side of your mouth and go, yeah, that's what we're dealing with. And you got the likes of Bill Gates, and you've got Zuckerberg, and you got all these people who are involved in attacking humanity. And attacking humanity. Again, the Georgia Guidestones spelled it right out. Maintain humanity at no more than 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Yes, we love the world so much that we have to kill 7.5 billion people. That's their plan. And if you don't believe it, raise your hand and smack yourself with it. This is their global agenda. This is what they've got to do to be able to take control of the entire world. They don't want a whole lot of people because people are waking up. People are figuring it out. And if you got too many people to go against, well, my gosh, their plans might fail. That's why they have to be very stealth about it. How are they going to knock off a huge number of people on this planet? And how are they going to destroy all of the different countries? And, one way is to destroy the country from within. And how do you do that? How do you do that? Well, there we go. Okay, I had a little bit of technical difficulty there. Yeah, so how do you do that? Well, there's a myriad of ways that they could do that. You destroy the food supply. You destroy the medical industry. You flood it with flood each country with people who don't share the same ideals, values, and morals. There's all kinds of ways that they can destroy countries, and that's what's going on around the world. But like I was saying, you've got some really insane people that are running the world. I mean, they're psychopaths. They're maniacs. And you know what? It's inbred. You know, I mean, it was Jacob Rothschild. I mean, I could pull that clip up here. I should have thought about it beforehand. But he came flat out and said that they don't marry outside of the family. In other words, the Rothschild family is incestuous. And there are documentaries out there, you know, it's irrefutable. It's undeniable, and they've admitted it. So, again, I use an analogy. If you've got a high-strung, neurotic, yippy poodle, and you mate it with a high-strung, neurotic, yippy poodle, you're going to have high-strung, neurotic, yippy poodle puppies. It's genetics. So, if you've got a megalomaniac, a psychopath, a sadist, you know, and he marries and has children with another psychopathic, sadistic monster, they're going to have little kids that are going to have the same proclivities, especially when they're brought up in an education, when they're educated to think that they are, you know, they're special blue-blooded people that should rule the world. This is what these maniacs believe. What is it? Somebody here, let me see if I could pull this up here. This is, it's a term called political ponerology. All right, here's an audio clip. This guy did a real good analogy of it. I don't know who this guy is, but it was posted on X, and it was a very good dissertation, and it sort of spells it out. Listen, what is political ponerology? Listen to this.
If you've felt like the Western world has gone insane over the last decade, you're not wrong. The madness has a name: political ponerology, the study of how psychopaths take over societies. According to Polish psychiatrist Andrew Lobachowski, psychopaths, sociopaths, and individuals with deep psychological disorders infiltrate institutions not by merit or integrity, but by their unrivaled ability to lie, manipulate, and destroy. The result is pathocracy, a system ruled by the disordered, where moral, competent, and sane people are pushed out, silenced, or destroyed. Here's how it unfolds. Essential psychopaths rise to the top. Lacking empathy, driven by narcissism, manipulation, and sadism, they view society as a playground of power. In a corrupted system, their evil traits aren't a liability, they're an asset. Schizoids serve as the ideological architects. Detached and theoretical, they create inhuman policies with utopian logic. Lockdowns, depopulation agendas, safe supply drug programs, all coldly detached from their human cost. Spellbinders are the charismatic mouthpieces. Celebrities, pundits, and influencers who captivate the public with slogans about equity and safety, disguising tyranny as compassion. The spellbound are true believers. Hypnotized, these are the foot soldiers of the regime, convinced they're on a moral crusade while defending totalitarianism. Adapted conformists know better but comply. They just follow orders to keep their jobs, reputations, or social standing, gradually numbing their conscience in the process. The resistors see through it all. They retain empathy and moral clarity, but are hunted, censored, and scapegoated for refusing to kneel. Then there's the bystanders, the majority of the population who are confused or afraid. Some slowly adopt to the regime's norms just to avoid conflict. Their silence enables the system to metastasize. Look around. Violent criminals are freed while whistleblowers exposing government corruption are harassed and threatened. Kids are taught gender dogma while literacy collapses. Bureaucrats push equity while freezing bank accounts. None of this is accidental. It's the end state of ponerogenesis. In a pathocracy, truth is treason, insanity is extremism. The system rewards the disordered and punishes the moral. This is not liberalism, it's not progress, it's a psychological coup. Until we recognize that we're not fighting bad ideas but pathological people, we will keep losing ground. This is not left versus right, it's sanity versus madness, and until sanity takes power back, the collapse will continue.
That's right. Until sanity is returned, the collapse will continue. And that's what we're witnessing. It is like, yes, the whole world has gone bat crap crazy. Well, not the whole world. I mean, there are a lot of sane people out there. I'd like to think that people listening to this broadcast and this network have their brains, their heads screwed on nice and tight. And the brain is functioning just fine. But those of us who see the madness are being labeled as insane. You know, I mean, it was John Lennon. As a matter of fact, I hadn't thought about this. This is something that John Lennon, I wasn't even planning to play this clip, but John Lennon addressed this, you know, what was it? Over 40 years ago, back in the 70s. Let's see if this clip will play. Let me see if it'll work.
Our society is run by insane people for insane objectives. If anybody can put on paper what our government and the American government, etc., and the Russian, Chinese, what they are actually trying to do, and what they think they're doing, I'd be very pleased to know what they think they're doing. I think they're all insane. But I'm liable to be put away as insane for expressing that. That's what's insane about it.
Yeah.
He was engaged with
he was right. All those years ago. Now, I don't know how you feel about John Lennon, but I mean, he nailed it. He nailed it in that particular dissertation, if you will. But I mean, it's being put out right in everybody's face. Now, last week I played a clip from, I believe her name is Meryl Nass. I don't know what her first name is. M. Nass. But she was with the WHO, and she's basically spelling out what the plans are for the World Health Organization. And by the way, they are pushing to have, to destroy every nation's sovereignty. If every country signs on to this agenda, we won't have a choice. Okay, what were the plans? What are the plans? Give a listen to this.
We're undergoing a soft coup, and the idea is to create a whole new set of laws and ignore the existing human rights laws and other laws under the pretext of pandemic preparedness and the biosecurity agenda. The WHO is developing through all its nations, but with the WHO Directorate in the United States in charge, a pandemic treaty and amendments to the existing international health regulations that will remove the human rights protections currently embedded in the IHRs, will enforce surveillance, censorship, get rid of freedom of speech, require governments to censor and only push a single narrative. Also, we will be subject, if they can make this work, to vaccines developed in 100 days, which the organization CEPI is planning to do. And one of the people who founded CEPI was Jeremy Farrar, who is now the chief scientist at the WHO, to bring this forward.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right now. Are you listening to what she's saying? Are you hearing what she's saying? These are the plans of these madmen and madwomen who have taken control of these international organizations. Let her continue.
Other things that amendments do is to bind the states so they're no longer recommendations but enforceable edicts. Provide a liability shield. Get rid of intellectual property rights, move supplies from one country to another, enforce digital passports, and the Director General of WHO can demand that a pandemic or a potential pandemic exists. He can just declare it with no standards, and then countries around the world will have to obey.
Okay, I'm going to pause it again. Now, she said a potential pandemic, not a real one, but a potential one. If they think that there's going to be some sort of a bugaboo, some sort of a virus or something like that, if they just think it, they can implement these draconian measures. These are madmen and madwomen.
Also, the WHO will tell you what drugs you can and can't use in your nation once a pandemic is declared. Obviously, the budget will increase. One Health is another part of this. One Health is a concept that was created to enable the WHO, with these documents, to take over jurisdiction of everything in the world, by saying that climate change, animals, plants, water systems, ecosystems are all central to health.
Everything.
Also embedded in this concept is a peculiar notion that humans are no longer of greater value than animals.
This is what they believe. And again, it doesn't make any difference at all what you believe. It doesn't make any difference what I believe. What makes a difference is what they believe. And they are madmen. They're insane. As a matter of fact, Ursula von der Leyen, who is in charge of the EU, she recently made this statement in regard to the vaccines. Listen up.
We have this horrible pandemic. We have the vaccines, the life-saving vaccines, but they are not being used adequately everywhere.
Okay, I'm going to pause it. Life-saving vaccines. Remember those words.
And thus, this costs, of course, this is an enormous health cost coming along. If you look at the numbers, we have now 77% of the adults in the European Union vaccinated, or if you take the whole population, it's 66%. And this means 1/3 of the European population is not vaccinated. These are 150 million people. This is a lot. And not each and everyone can be vaccinated, so there are very small children, for example, or people with special medical conditions, but the vast majority could. And therefore, I think it is understandable and appropriate to lead this discussion now, how we can encourage and potentially think about mandatory vaccination within the European Union. This
mandatory vaccinations in the European Union. And as you heard from Ms. Nass, that's not just going to be in the European Union. It's going to be global. It'll be here in the United States. Mandatory vaccines. That's their plan.
Needs discussion. This needs a common approach, but it is a discussion that I think has to be led.
Yes, it is a discussion that has to be made. I agree with that one. And we're going to keep on discussing it because these people are insane. They are insane. As a matter of fact, it was reported on Real America's Voice. They made the following report. I don't know who the woman was who was making this report, but this was broadcast about a week ago on Real America's Voice. Listen to this.
That awkward silence that you hear in America right now is the vaccinated realizing that we, the unvaccinated, were right. A major study found that the mRNA injections reduce a person's lifespan by a whopping 37%. In the United States, the average life expectancy in 2019 was 78.79 years. A 37% reduction from 78.79 equals a loss of just over 29.15 years.
Okay, stop right there. They're going to reduce your lifespan by 29 years with these bioweapons. This is their plan. And we're the crazy ones? Folks, do you understand what's going on here? This is their plan. Safe and effective. Remember that. Yes, it's safe and it's effective. It is neither safe, it is not effective. It did not prevent transmission, and it did not prevent the contraction.
Average life expectancy in the Western world, generally encompassing Europe, North America, parts of Asia, and Australia, is around 80 to 83 years. This means that the average life expectancy in Western nations has plunged by 29.6 to 30.71 years. In other words, the vaccines were bioweapons.
Yes, they are. Not were. They are, because they're still pushing them. You can still go down to your local grocery store, or maybe Walgreens or CVS. They're still pushing this. And the mRNA is in every vaccine. And I can say that word, the hokey pokey thingy dingy. It's in every, I don't care whether it's an measles, mumps, rubella, MMR vaccine. You know, every single vaccine, every time they stick a needle in your arm now that's got that the genes, I'm having a brain fart here. The mRNA, there it is, mRNA. Going to mess with your DNA. So, I mean, this is what we're up against, folks. And if you don't do anything about it, if you don't raise your voice, you remember, silence is consent. Even I think it's Tommy Lahren that was making the following report in regard to what this is being called.
Bombshell new study from Yale Medical School finds people suffering from long COVID are actually suffering from mRNA vaccine injury. As if that's bad enough, it's worse than that. These people are suffering from what's called vaccine-induced AIDS. It's called VAIDS. This is from Slay News. Leading scientists from the world-renowned Yale University have confirmed that COVID mRNA vaccines cause vaccine-acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, VAIDS. A bombshell study conducted by researchers at Yale University School of Medicine found that mRNA injections alter human biology to create long-term spike protein production that increases over time. The scientists warned that the COVID mRNA vaccines alter T-cell immunophenotypes, which triggers VAIDS. The study was led by Bornali Bhattacharya. So not only were we collectively forced to take an experimental vaccine or risk losing our jobs, we were lied to about it. It didn't stop you from contracting or transmitting the virus. It wasn't safe. It caused heart issues, blood clots, autoimmune disorders. We were censored when we questioned the madness. And now we find out that the mRNA jab causes VAIDS in many people. This is one of the most egregious scandals in American history. Kash Patel's first order of business at the FBI should be throwing in prison every single person involved in this crime against humanity.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So where are the handcuffs? Where are the ankle bracelets? Where are the orange jumpsuits? You know, I mean, why don't we see any arrests? And it's not just about that. I mean, the revelations over this past few days. Now they're pointing at Obama and the treason that he and his cabinet were involved with. I mean, that's a whole other issue. Maybe I'll get into that tomorrow. But I mean, where are the arrests? You know, in Holland right now, they're trying to put together trials and bring all these people up on crimes against humanity. And, of course, the United States is, saying, oh, no, they don't have any jurisdiction, the International Criminal Court, blah, 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 the United States, who's got our Congress and our Senate and the president's balls in a vice? How is it that they just keep on, goose-stepping along with whatever the WHO and whatever the World Economic Forum has to say and the UN, and what basically Israel has to say? Why is it that they're just goose-stepping right along with that? I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to take a quick break here.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get More Tank by visiting our website, The WTF Reports. Click on the sponsors button there, and it'll take you down to where you can click on the Get More Tank window. It'll bring you to their website, and you can read all the technical data, why it works, how it works, and depending upon your make, model, and year of whatever vehicle that you're driving, you will see an improvement in mileage, anywhere between 15 and 20%. So you got to check this stuff out. I wouldn't be having this as a sponsor if I didn't believe in it. I'm not going to take on and sell any products just because I'm going to make money. I'm not here to grift or do anything like that. Yeah, we got to keep the lights on, but it's not about, it's not about just making money. Yeah, it's about getting good products into your hands. And that's I'm not going to allow this program to turn into an infomercial. But, yeah, we got to keep the lights on. As a matter of fact, I got a phone call a few months back, from somebody who'd been using Get More Tank. Here's what they said.
All right, let's go to Chicago. Say hi to Jerry. Jerry, thank you for holding. You're on the air. What do you got?
Hey, this is what I got for you. I started using that GetMoreTank.com back around May in 2 different vehicles. And I'll tell you what, my fuel economy went up in one of them, Toyota RAV4 2019, and went up about 4.6 miles per gallon. I keep track of it.
Wow, good for you.
And 2019 Ford Transit with a 5-cylinder inline diesel engine, I went from 15.8 average to 17.2. And I'm also putting it in my chainsaw. I haven't noticed the difference with the chainsaw. I can't figure fuel economy on that. But, hey, that's all I wanted to say to you. Have a good show.
Hey, Jerry, thank you so much for the endorsement. It's a good product. It really is. And not only that, I'm sure that everything's running better as well. I noticed that in my my Toyota Highlander. When I hit the gas, I almost feel G-forces, you know.
All right, so if you want to get more tank, please visit our website, TheWTFReports.com. You won't be sorry. All right, that said, okay, now we move into a different subject. Yes, what happened over the past few days? Israel bombed one of the last Catholic church in the West Bank. And that church has been around since the 4th century, since almost the beginning of Christianity. And NBC actually reported it. I was really surprised. I don't know who the reporter was, but this was on NBC News, a few days ago. Listen up.
So we're here in the West Bank town of Taiba. It really is the last real Christian majority community in the West Bank. And if you look behind me, this is the Church of St. George. It's a 5th century ruin, and it just goes to show how long Christians have been here. For millennia, almost as long as Christianity has existed itself. But look here too. All of this has been burned by settlers, Israeli Jewish settlers who have come by and essentially staged a pogrom here repeatedly. Community members here say on a daily basis. They also bring their animals to graze amongst these olive groves here, damaging the trees. All of it is done to try to get this Christian community, along with all of the Palestinian communities in the West Bank, to either leave the West Bank or leave Israel and the Palestinian territories entirely. The settlers believe this is their land, and they'll do anything to take it.
It's not their land. It never was. And that's what's so sad about this. And I don't know how the mainstream networks are going to walk this back. I don't know how our government is going to walk this back. Because, of course, Israel is our greatest ally. Israel's our greatest ally. Israel's our greatest ally. Our greatest ally. Our greatest ally. Our greatest ally. A lie told often enough becomes the truth. How are we going to walk this back? After all this murder and genocide and ethnic cleansing, what are you going to do?
Sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry. We're sorry. I'm sorry. Say that to the murdered Palestinians. I mean, it is genocide, folks. Genocide is genocide. As a matter of fact, a woman made a post basically comparing one genocide. Of course, we all know which one that we're talking about. Does the number 6 million mean anything? Oh, by the way, that was reduced to 4 million. Oh, and then it was reduced to 2 million. But that's another issue altogether. But genocide is genocide.
Okay, so you can't tell me that there's a difference between lining people up before you send them to showers, or lining people up while they wait for aid before you massacre them. Before you massacre them. This is 2 sides of the same genocidal coin. And we learned about the atrocities of the past, and when we are witnessing key indicators of genocide, and to find correlations between the two. And we have been seeing the correlations for the last almost 2 years. So again, whether you are lining people up to go and take showers or lining people up to get aid before you massacre them, it is the same. Genocide is genocide no matter how you choose to ethnically cleanse or slaughter people.
It is. It is what it is. You can't call it something else. And what's really disgusting is, again, I'm not an anti-Semite. I don't hate Jews. No, don't even go there. But they've been using that anti-Semite tag to basically, dispel any criticism of Israel. And what is it? The folks down in Texas, oh man, what a horrendous situation. So many communities have been totally destroyed. And if they want federal aid, they have to sign a paper saying that they will not criticize Israel. What has that got to do with receiving aid after having your home wiped out and your families destroyed, many family members dead? And if you want any help whatsoever, you have to pledge your allegiance to Israel? Where does that come from? And how is it that more than half of the states in this country now have laws that you can't boycott Israel? Who are we working for anyway? You can't serve two masters. I want to know why there's so many people out there that in Congress, in the Senate, that have dual citizenship. You cannot serve two masters. And there's a lot of people have had it with AIPAC. I tell you what, here's one guy basically expressing his feelings towards AIPAC. Tell us how you really feel, buddy. Here.
This is a PSA. F*** AIPAC. Just double extra f*** AIPAC. I don't want any foreign government involved in our elections to the extent AIPAC is. I wouldn't care if it was f***ing Canada. Get the hell out of our elections. Stop paying Cory Booker $800,000. Stop paying Sarah Elfreth $4.1 million. Shut the f*** up. Go away. Any politician who accepts AIPAC money isn't working for America and should be voted out immediately.
That's right. And if you walk through the halls of Congress, and every member of Congress has their little office building, and they have a U.S. flag and an Israeli flag. Why is that? Were they paid off? I mean, what methodology is being exercised to control these people?
Bribery, coercion, blackmail.
Yeah, maybe it's one of those. Maybe it's one of those that has got, our members of Congress working for another country. When does it stop? I mean, seriously. I mean, we have to address this. And meanwhile, they're softening the target because we Americans are struggling just to keep the lights on, living the American dream. There was a young woman who posted the following here, and this is heartbreaking because she's expressing what is being experienced by so many Americans. Yeah, you want to have the American dream? Guess what? The American dream's turned into a nightmare. Here's her post.
I'm an American. I pay $1,600 for a flat that has no bedroom. That's 2/3 of my income. I'm an American. I work 50 hours a week. I don't have health insurance. I'm an American. I couldn't afford to have a child even if I wanted to. I'm $7,000 in debt. I'm an American. My health is declining because I can't afford Whole Foods because that's too expensive for my life. I am very overqualified for my job, but no one else is hiring. I'm an American. I make my boss hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, while I can barely keep myself alive. I'm an American. I have never been out of the States. I have never been on a vacation. I'm an American. I make $20-some an hour. A livable wage here is like 30-some. Yet I don't qualify for government assistance whatsoever. On the days I don't work, I'm so tired I just sleep all day. I'm an American. My electric bill is so expensive I sit outside in the heat because I can't afford to turn the AC on in the damn house. I'm an American, and I fear I'm just an average American. I'm living the American dream.
And I fear that I'm just an average American. Well, sweetheart, I'm sorry to say, but you are. Because so many of us are struggling just to survive. And yet we send billions and billions and billions of dollars overseas to our greatest ally. I want to know why they're our greatest ally. What does Israel do for the United States? Oh, well, you get to have a military base and a foothold in the Middle East. Yeah, well, do you know how many bases the United States got all over the Middle East? I want to know what Israel is doing for us. I mean, after all those dollars that get sent over there, Israelis have free health care. We don't have free health care. They get free education. We don't get free education. They get military hardware. They get bombs and tanks and planes and all kinds of stuff for nothing. We just send it over there. So what is the benefit? What is the benefit? Well, maybe it's because our members of Congress are being influenced by
bribery, coercion, blackmail.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, as a matter of fact, let me see if I can pull this up here. And I can't emphasize this enough. Go to Track AIPAC, folks. Track AIPAC. Let me see. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Track AIPAC. It's the Track AIPAC tracker, okay? And if we look at the presidential, our administration, the Trump administration, you click on that. Let me see. February 7th, they got $7.41 billion. And a few weeks after that, on February 28th, Israel got another $3.01 billion. March 1st, they got another $4 billion. And then on April 14th, they got $180 million. I mean, we're just sending money willy-nilly over there. What do we get out of it? You know, who's influencing who? Did you know that Donald Trump has received $230,473,622 from AIPAC? Who is he working for? I don't know. I want to trust Trump. Boy, he talked a good talk. And don't get me wrong, I want to make America great again. But I mean, who's running the show? J.D. Vance got $167,000. Marco Rubio's got over $1 million. He got $1,013,563 from AIPAC. Just go to trackaipac.com and do your own research. You can look up your own congressmen and senators and see how much money that they got. I mean, so who's running the show? How is it that they're getting away with this? And what are we going to? How do you hold your elected officials' feet to the fire? Anyway, I just, like I said, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm here. I'm not making this up. I'm not blowing smoke, folks. This is why I play the audio clips. I'm here with the facts, with the receipts, WTF, with the facts. Anyway, so what's going on? How are we going to pull this together? Well, it's not just, avoiding what the World Health Organization has for us, or what the World Economic Forum or the UN or anything like that. We already know what their plans are. Well, it's called softening the target. And you know what? Clayton Morris and his redacted program, he brought something into our attention that we all need to be paying attention to. What's going on in Spain right now? This is going to be a little bit of a change of subject and a change of gears, but everything is connected. Anyway, here's what Clayton Morris is reporting. This is the first couple of minutes of an 18-minute report that he did.
Well, what the hell is happening in Spain? The mainstream media is worthless. They're 100% ignoring this story. Just go to CNN.com, just go to FoxNews.com, go to any of them. Zero coverage of what's happening right now in Spain. Of course, they're hiding it from you on purpose. So just take a look at some of these images. This weekend, it all started with elderly Spanish folks getting attacked, beat up by a group of illegal Moroccan gang members.
I'm going to pause it right there. Yeah, that was in the news, not reported on the main, alphabet agencies. But yes, there were some elderly folks that were attacked by these Muslims, by these immigrants, and the Spanish people are standing up.
The illegals are now even setting up barricades, blocking streets. It's like they're going to war, taking over the streets, attacking local Spanish citizens. But now, and the police aren't doing anything about it. So what are the Spanish people doing? They're trying to take their streets back. They're forming their own groups to stop them. Here's how would you say that? Reimmigration?
Reimmigration.
There you go. So this is their group, Spanish Patriots, taking to the street saying Spain is a Christian country holding banners for re-immigration and chanting Spain is Christian, not Muslim. Basically, the Spaniards are now pushing for mass deportations. Like, get out of our country. You're ruining our country. Pensioners being attacked, old people being attacked just on their way home from a restaurant. It's an absolute disaster. I like this tweet. This kind of sums it up here. I love this person's screen name, by the way.
Yeah, listen to this.
Cleavage Crumbs. Cleavage Crumbs writes, "This is not a breakdown in civility by the Spaniards. This is a reasonable response to continuing and escalating acts of violence by groups of, let's call them what they are, invaders. Disrespectful of Spanish culture, religion, and people, these invaders are finally meeting resistance. True resistance can only come from the Spaniards themselves, as their government, so synchronized to the horrendous immigration policies of the EU, do not see the true danger posed by the invaders. The diversity is a strength bullshit is being seen for what it is. People unwilling to assimilate, unwilling to accept the culture of the land they are supposedly integrating themselves to is not immigration, it's an invasion."
Bingo.
She says. What do you guys think of this? I mean, Spain is in deep, deep trouble. I'm not surprised the mainstream media is totally ignoring the story, of course.
No, yeah, they don't want you to pay attention to that. And it's not just Spain, ladies and gentlemen. It's France. It's Germany. It's Sweden. It's the Netherlands. It's the UK. It's happening across the board all over Europe. And, you know, it's not like people weren't out there sounding the warning bells years ago. As a matter of fact, Christopher Hitchins, back in 2009, rest his soul, was warning people. Now, I got a clip here. You'll hear Christopher Hitchins warning people about this. And then after that, you're going to hear Keir Starmer defending it. Now, whose side are they on? This is why I'm saying that, you know, this whole concept of opening borders and bringing immigrants from all over the world, they're going to come into the country and take over. No. When you immigrate to another country, you're obligated to assimilate. You're supposed to take up the values and the morals of that country. Because obviously, if you're leaving that other country, you don't want to stay there. You don't bring all those morals and problems with you. No. But that's exactly what's happening. But anyway, here's Christopher Hitchins back in 2009 warning everybody about what was coming and that fact that they were going to come up with this brand new word, you know, sort of like that phrase conspiracy theorist, okay? They've been using that ever since Kennedy was assassinated. So they just dispel anybody who challenges the official story or the narrative. And then, of course, there's anti-Semite. That's being used and has been used for decade after decade for anybody who dares to criticize Israel. Well, there's another phrase that's been utilized and injected into the vernacular. That is Islamophobe. Yeah. If you stand up against all this immigration, you're an Islamophobe. That's what it is. Christopher Hitchins warned us in 2009.
Give it up or give it to your deadliest enemy and pay for the rope that will choke you. This is very urgent business, ladies and gentlemen. I beseech you. Resist it while you still can, and before the right to complain is taken away from you, which will be the next thing. You will be told you can't complain because you're Islamophobic. The term is already being introduced into the culture as if it was an accusation of race hatred, for example, or bigotry, whereas it's only the objection to the preachings of a very extreme and absolutist religion. Watch out for these symptoms. They are not just symptoms of surrender, very often ecumenically offered to you by men of God in other robes, Christian and Jewish and smarmy ecumenical. These are the ones who will hold open the gates for the barbarians. The barbarians never take a city till someone holds the gates open for them. And it's your own preachers who will do it for you, and your own multicultural authorities who will do it for you. Resist it while you can. And if you wonder what will happen if you don't, look and see how a cricket team in Middlesex in England had to change its name by force last week because it was called, and had been for years, the Middlesex Crusaders. Look and see how stories about little pigs can't be taught to children in English schools anymore, lest offense be taken by the religion of peace. Resist it while you can.
Resist it while you can. Now, he warned you. Now, here's Keir Starmer.
Things that is coming up over and over again is Islamophobia. And, well, you can see the stats, you can see the numbers rising, particularly since October the 7th. Although we shouldn't fall into the trap of thinking that before October the 7th, this...
Mm-hmm.
Give it up.
Okay, you got the idea? So Christopher Hitchins warned you that it was coming. They're going to start calling you an Islamophobe if you stand up against all this insane migration. And yet there's Keir Starmer defending it. This is being done on purpose, folks. And it's not working. It's not working. As a matter of fact, there was a woman who posted the following, and she calls this whole thing a failed experiment by the extreme left liberals. Here it is.
I think there's a lot to learn from Europe regarding migration and how they've had these open borders and they've implemented all these leftist policies, and they have failed. They're failed experiments. Liberalism is a failed experiment, and we're seeing it in Europe. Take Sweden, for example. Sweden used to be known for its open door migration policy. Everyone in. And then in 2015, they had this big migrant crisis. They had so many asylum seekers that the government literally said that they were not able to sustain this migration into the country. They ran out of resources, they ran out of money, ran out of pensions. And while they were running out of money, it was also becoming the bombing capital of Europe. It had the highest rate of gangland killings. Their RAPE rapes skyrocketed. Guess who were the perpetrators? Asylum seekers, immigrants. They had 200 Swedes join ISIS. So they saw how migration made their country extremely unsafe, and then just how it was not economically viable. Some stats supporting this: 73% of all MURDERS in the country were done by migrants. 70% of all the robberies were done by migrants. 85% of all the shootings in the country were done by migrants. By 2022, 75% of migrant households were on welfare benefits. By 2017, their foreign-born population reached 20% of the total population, and statistically, these migrants were coming from Syria, Iraq, Somalia, and Afghanistan. And this started when, in 2015, again, when the migrant crisis started, was when they let in 160,000 asylum seekers into their country, and it really only skyrocketed. But guess what? They're trying to fix their mistakes, and it's working. They are now requiring all migrants to learn Swedish, to work, wow, and making migrants integrate to access welfare in a step-by-step program instead of just giving it all up front. They're also paying people $34,000 to return to their home countries. And for the first time in a decade, Sweden has achieved net zero migration in 2024. And now there's more leaving than coming in. Asylum applications dropped to record lows. Sweden is trying to course correct, hopefully before it's too late. And the rest of the European countries need to just acknowledge that these open border policies don't work. And it's a result of these leftist ideologies, extreme liberalism, and it's shown to be a failed experiment. And as a result of it, Europe will fall.
Yes, it will, unless they get that turned around. And you know what? So will the United States if we don't get it turned around. Now, you heard Clayton Morris just a little while ago. You know, the indigenous natives of Spain are standing up. I mean, you heard the story. Elderly folks being beaten by these immigrants, and the Spaniards have taken to the streets. I mean, thousands and thousands of them are marching the streets saying re-immigration. In other words, immigrate the hell out of here. Get them out of here. And they are defending their communities. Dare I say they are forming militias, citizen groups to defend their communities. What a concept. Wow. People actually standing up and defending themselves instead of waiting for Big Brother or Daddy to come and do it for them. Well, I got to tell you, campers, the United States government is not going to do it. No, they have implemented this. Yeah, I know Tom Homan is trying to reverse it, et cetera, but I mean, the floodgates were open. We're talking tens of millions of illegal immigrants have come across the border in the past 4 years, and many of them are hostile. And again, you've got a lot of Muslims that have set up their own communities, and they're pushing for Sharia law. Sharia law. It's not a religion, it's political dogma. They don't want to pay attention to the Constitution. That's the point. They're not coming here to assimilate. They're coming here to conquer. I'm not trying to make you scared or anything like that, but they're out in the open about this. They're not going to comply to U.S. law. They want to establish Sharia law. That's what Epic City is all about down in Texas. That's what Dearborn, Michigan is completely taken over. As a matter of fact, I saw some videos a week or so ago. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, right near the Grand Army Plaza, the Brooklyn Library, Prospect Park, and the Botanical Gardens. I used to play in there when I was a kid. And I saw videos of people going through the Prospect Park, and it's been completely taken over. In the UK now, parts of England, Muslims pray 5 times a day. And they go out, they have their prayer mats, and at the specified time, they go outside in the street, they put their prayer mats down and they pray, and they shut down everything. And that's okay in the UK. But you know what? There was a woman in the UK standing outside of a church, and she was praying silently by herself, and she got arrested. What is wrong with that picture? You're telling me you're just stirring things up, Dave. The Muslims aren't trying to take over. Oh, just wake up and smell the coffee. That's exactly what's happening. And again, I'm not an Islamophobe. I'm not an anti-Semite or anything like that, but we've got to defend our country. And if the Spaniards can get their communities together and start defending their communities without the help of their government, because they're forming what in essence are militias, yes, that's what they're doing. We might have to do the same thing. I don't want to see violence in the streets. We got to get this thing turned around. But I'm serious. We're not going to get it done when your government is doing everything they can to make it happen. Now, somewhere somebody is sitting back and saying, okay, how do we get this country to go into civil war? Well, let's pit the Christians against the Muslims. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah. So what religious group is going to sit on the sidelines and watch it happen? Which religious group is out there with a design to make it happen? I'll let you put those puzzle pieces together and figure it out yourself. We got some real interesting times ahead of us, folks, and people, have got to start paying attention. They've got to, wake up and smell the coffee, as they say. Anyway, all right. That's we're pretty much out of time here. I hope that you enjoy the information that I'm providing here, because yes, I do show up here with the audio receipts. I'm not making this stuff up, folks. I'm just here to report it, and you can hate the messenger and ignore the message if you care to do so, but that's not going to do you any good. But anyway, I would ask that get a little support from you folks. Do business with our sponsors. Pick up a Wave Watch. Pick up some Get More Tank. If you want to make a contribution, you can go to our GoFundMe and throw a few dollars in there and help us keep the lights on and grow the program. And if you're enjoying this, if you're listening on Rumble or BitChute or YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. So that's how we make it grow. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the Monday edition of the WTF Reports. I respectfully and humbly request you do business with our sponsors. So that said, I'm going to wrap it up. And, hey, that's it. God bless you all. Stay safe, stay free, and I will see you tomorrow.
Just take flight as you turn on the light. You won't